I'm Jacob Jencks, and I'm the playwright for a reimagining of Romulus and Remus. Yeah. I think one thing is I took a lot of Latin throughout middle and high school, like 5 years in total, and I was just always so consumed by the culture and mythology side of it because they have myths for everything. They really like making their myths fully fleshed out and making their heroes really, tragic, epic heroes. And so when I took a playwriting class, they teach you, oh, write what you know. And I said, I know a lot about Roman and pre-Roman culture. So I just think that the story fits really well to the format of a play because you can really see the internal and external struggles of all of the characters really. And I think in writing the play, I discovered that even in the myth, there's not necessarily a right and wrong person. Everyone has a reason for doing everything, and that was so fun to explore in writing the play. Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest challenges for me is that in the original myth, Romulus actually kind of does everything. So, Remus gets captured by guards, and Romulus is the one that goes and mounts the rescue mission and saves him. And I mean, obviously, that makes sense to the Romans because Romulus was created to be like the best Roman possible. He is the founder of Rome. He is like the Roman guy, so he has to have all of the Roman virtues, and he has to be strong and brave and protect his family and everything. But it really sort of pushed Remus to the side, and I really wanted to explore the aspect of these are two brothers journeying together through massive unknown waters, and I really wanted to give Remus a little bit more agency. So I think allowing him to be able to break out himself in that scene that I wrote is really important to his character, and it also sort of shows the character arc as he gets a bit more deranged throughout. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think in rewriting it, I just found that there's so much between them, and it really makes me think about like my own family and the bonds that I have because my family member that I'm closest with is actually my brother. So in writing it a lot, I thought about the moments between me and him, moments where we've struggled or moments where we've come together to overcome something, and I really think it's important to see, even if, the gods are against you, you can come together with someone you love to overcome it. And I think there's just a lot to be said about that story. Yes. Um, Honestly, I really like Remus. In the original story, Romulus did, like I said, get all of the credit for everything because he is the founder of Rome and he's the one that really built. They built the whole myth to be about him. He was the first king of Rome as well, and he was deified to be the god protector of Rome. So they really wanted everything to be about him. And so in looking at the original myth, a lot of it was like, oh well, Remus did this, and so I was forced to think like, well, why would Remus do that? Why would anyone actually do this thing? Like, provoke guards in front of the family, knowing they're dangerous. Why would anyone actually want to do this? So I really got to explore a character that I feel like history has kind of pushed aside. And in doing that, I find I sort of am a lot like Remus in terms of impulsiveness and the way that I communicate with people. So in writing Remus, I sort of found a lot of myself in that. So I think, yeah, he has to be my favorite. It was something that I ended up doing for playwriting last semester, and when we were talking about what our final project would be, it has to be like a full length 10-minute play. And throughout the whole semester, I was kind of stressing like, oh, I have to write a 10-minute play. What could that possibly be about? And just it just kind of kept coming back to me. Whenever they said write what you know, I'm like, oh, I don't know anything. I just took a lot of Latin in high school. I'm like, well, I guess there's a lot of stories inherent in that. So it's sort of something that came naturally to me by popping up in my head, but I really had to work with it a lot to make it the story that it is now, especially because in playwriting it was like 15 minutes. It wasn't a 10-minute play, but I've obviously expanded it to make it more along the length of a one act right now. So it's around 40-45 minutes. And really it's just, I keep finding so much more to the story that I can dig into more and more. Yeah, honestly, next fall, sometime at the end of October, I'm working on producing a musical with me and a few of my senior friends and some of the underclassmen that are coming up. I'm not going to spoil too much of what it actually is right now, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very silly, very goofy, very campy, and hopefully, a great time because we have a lot of talented people working on it. So just keep your eyes posted for that. Yeah, of course. One thing that I really think about, and I thought about it in writing it and in producing it and watching it being produced, is it's so intriguing to me that this story that is rooted in something that happened, well over 2,000 years ago, it still has things that ring true to us today. Like the family values and the doing whatever it takes to protect the people you love, and the jealousy and the rage and all of that. I feel like despite being characters that were made up literally thousands and thousands of years ago and were created to fit a certain set of values that we don't necessarily hold anymore, I still think there's a lot that rings true in those characters to our societal values today. So I really just want people thinking about that. Like it's just kind of, it's crazy, but it's a human story despite being about gods and greatness and brothers fighting 2,000 years ago. It really is about human connection. And I think it's really beautiful that we can still connect with that despite all of the time that's passed. I'm not really sure about need to know, but one thing that I like to point out that I'm not really sure if a lot of people pick up on is just the way that the two brothers use language differently. I mean, obviously, Remus speaks much more casually, but it's very intentional that Remus is the only character in the play to ever swear, and Romulus is the only character in the play to ever speak Latin, and that's very intentional for the characters that they are and the way that I want them to be presented to the audience.